Welcome to another episode of Strategy Simplified. In this episode, we're chatting with Elena as she shares her story of breaking into Amazon. She'll share exactly what she did to ace the firm's tough interview process and tips for you to do the same. If you're looking to break into a corporate strategy or product management or even consulting role, this episode will be valuable for you. Let's get started. Elena, welcome to Strategy Simplified. We're excited to have you to share your story of breaking into Amazon. So let's just dive right in. Can you start off by giving us just a quick 60-second overview of kind of who you are and your background?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I worked with your company for many years, and I'm glad to be here. So my background is in history, Oriental studies. I started there, worked for international organizations back in Russia and Southeast Asia, and then in 1997, I came to the United States to get my degree in computer information systems. And since that time, I started to work in computer software industry, in healthcare, in telecom industry. So I spent many years working in different capacities there. In 2013, I graduated from the University of Toronto. I got with MBA degree in strategy, healthcare strategy and management consulting. Was hired by IBM out of school, and I joined practice called Watson Health. And actually today it was sold to Francisco Partners, so I don't know if it's some type of connection there, but I'm joking. But so I worked for Watson Health. I worked also in different units within IBM as a product designer, product manager, technical program manager, and recently I got an offer from Amazon as a senior program manager for one of the business units of Amazon.
Yeah. Well, congrats on the Amazon offer. Just curious, how did you decide that Amazon was right for you? You have this long history of work in computer science, healthcare, and all of that. But how did you decide, Amazon and why now?
It's a good question. So first of all, I just want to say Amazon also Amazon has also healthcare division, right? If you know, there is Amazon Care. And I believe that Amazon is developing this practice to break into healthcare industry. Amazon also has pharmacy, online pharmacy. So Amazon, one way or another, is still related to the healthcare. And I believe that Amazon at some point will become a major player in that space. So that is very attractive. I was attracted to the Amazon culture. I think it resonates with the way I do things, the way I work. I'm really interested to achieve results. I want to deliver results, and I want to do it extremely quickly. And at some point, working for IBM, I realized that I'm missing this kind of growth, expansion, and speed of execution, so to speak. I was researching different companies, and I would say that it wasn't an easy process. Obviously, it didn't happen overnight. There have been multiple failed attempts, and eventually I managed to pass all the interviews with Amazon and join the company. So, and now it's up to me, basically, how I would progress within the company, obviously, and whether I would be able to join the practice I really want, say, for example, healthcare. So it still would be in line with what my experience lies in, right? So.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned the multiple failed attempts. Do you mind sharing a little bit about what that was like?
Absolutely. So not specifically with Amazon, but just generally in my work history, I interviewed with many major consulting firms up to the final round, such as McKinsey, BCG, Deloitte, many other companies where I failed to get an offer. And I know sometimes it's really heartbreaking, and you've been close to getting into the company you really wanted to work for, but you did not. So I learned from these failed attempts. And my experience with Amazon was also not very successful from at first. So I applied for many positions. I got one interview, second round interview, and I did not move further with the interview process. But it helped me to learn a lot about the interviewing process with the company. It opened my eyes to what exactly is the deficiencies in my preparation process, what I did not cover, what I did not, prepare for this interview. And I also learned very interesting thing actually about Amazon is it's only basically one chance to show who you are, and they don't really give you many other chances. You need to wait for another 6 months, but it doesn't mean that they will ask you to come for an interview. So if you want to get into, you have to be over prepared for that call from Amazon that would be coming your way. But pretty much it's from many major companies out there. So I would say. So this failed attempt kind of opened my eyes to my preparation process. And then I applied several months later for a different position. And the recruiter who called me, he read the notes of that interviewer from the first round. And then he said, basically, we do not need to wait 6 months. It's enough kind of positive data points. We can continue for interview with these positions that we're offering you. So we are gradually moving into the interviewing process with Amazon. I just want to say that it consists of 3 different rounds. One is a recruiter interview with a recruiter. Second round is with a hiring manager or with a peer hiring manager, someone from a different kind of group, but who is in the same level of position. It's a phone interview, and you have to be very familiar with Amazon 14 principles. It's a behavioral questions, and you have to show your experience, that your professional experience, and how it matches these principles that Amazon is governing its business. But you have to be extremely specific with your examples. And I just want to tell you, there is one of the senior vice presidents of Amazon, John Rossman. He wrote a book which is called The Amazon Way. And he described one situation where during the meeting, his unit wasn't performing really well. And he started to explain why it's happening. And Jeff Bezos said, the answer to that question starts with a number. And so basically, it opens your eyes in terms of culture and what they expect during the interview. So basically, you have to be extremely concise. You have to support your answers with the numbers, and you have to be extremely crystal clear in terms of what you are telling the interviewing person. And the third round is, it consists of a battery of interviews. It usually takes 1 day. It's about 4 or 5 one-hour interviews where you would be sitting with either one person on the call. It's Zoom currently during COVID time, but usually it's on site. And then you would be asked all types of questions they choose to ask, but mainly around principles and behavioral. But you have to tell all different types of situations related to your to your role. Say, for example, if it's product design, you have to be extremely prepared. So my last interview was people who interviewed me. There was a PhD from Stanford who asked, it's a very different styles of interview. They just go straight to the, heart of the matter and just ask very extremely specific questions. And you have to be precise. Your answers need to start with a number. You cannot just, you need to eliminate all the noise. It just has to be very clear about and answer those questions. Also, I just want to say you should be prepared for surprises. For example, in my case, second set of interviews, second half of the final day consisted of system design interviews where interviewer just really asked me to design a system. And since I wasn't really prepared for that turn of events, I literally had to rely a lot on my experience, on my kind of professional experience with IBM and any other companies, just to really design the system and just really answer the questions that they've been asking. So, and there was another subsequent interview, fifth interview with another hiring manager. And after that, Amazon offered me the position.
Wow. So you went through the gauntlet.
It is very extensive, but I agree with that approach because I know that Amazon is it has a policy of reviewing, performance review every 6 months. They evaluate the employees on a very kind of broad scale. Same with IBM, actually, I just want to say. But you have to be always up to the par, and you have to perform and you have to deliver in your roles. So I understand that this evaluation process you have to vet people who you're hiring, so they don't have to be in a situation when they have to let people go.
Exactly.
They possibly don't even want to do this as well. So
exactly. And so you had this very, very intense and long, arduous interview process before you got the offer. Can you just walk us through what did you do to prepare for these interviews?
What I did is I read everything that is available online and what the recruiter sent me just to familiarize myself. But I just want to warn that it's not enough. It is just a guidance, right? It's a guidance list that you have to look into, but in reality, it's much more to that. So I did a lot of research. There is an application called Blind. I don't know if listeners are familiar with that. It's a kind of employees of different companies sharing the experiences about the organizations, their companies. So you can find some pieces of information about hiring processes, questions. I did a lot of research online, and most of all, I understood that I worked also with one of managed consultant trainers, Lisa Bright, and she was extremely helpful. And I just want to say that there is a significant kind of input that Lisa provided to me that allowed me to succeed in the interview process. So what we did basically, I wrote down all my answers. I had about 50, 60 pages document with so I took each principle. I wrote at least 2 stories for each of the principles. And then I worked with Lisa, and Lisa was going sentence by sentence, and and I was really impressed. And it was evaluation of each sentence. How much time it takes to tell this information? Does it bring any value? Is it consistent with the story? Is it consistent with the questions that is being asked? So imagine that we went through all of these stories with Lisa, and then we had some kind of mock interview training. And I want to say that it's immensely helped me, this kind of mock interviewing and preparation. And also it's, when you write these stories, it's it's like it makes you think a lot about your history, about your career, how you managed your career. You start to really kind of realize, whether your approach to how you to the career management was enough or appropriate. It's really kind of, when you write down review your whole history, it has a lot of kind of value to yourself. It's not only preparation for the interview, just really kind of revision of your whole path. So I would say research the company, research all our resources on the internet, have a partner, or best of all, have a career coach or interview coach to work with you, and it will help you to get where you want to.
Right. So I'm hearing you say it was a combination of just your own research and then working with a coach or an expert who can help you really give you feedback and workshop your answers to these behavioral questions. Do you have 1 to 2 tips or pieces of advice you could give to somebody who is targeting an Amazon or a Google, or a Capital One for a similar position like that? We'll be right back after this quick message.
Attention consulting job seekers. Are you in the market for a consulting role? Well, look no further than Altman Solon. Altman Solon is the world's premier TMT-focused strategy consultancy, and they're hiring for open roles across 3 levels: analyst, consultant, and senior consultant. From now through February 25th, you have the chance to apply through Management Consulted. What does this mean? It means that your resume is guaranteed to be reviewed and passed on to the firm. You can learn more and apply through the link in the show notes. Again, applications close on February 25th.
I would say Amazon and Google would be approximately similar because they have these extensive final interviews. I would say allow yourself enough time. It takes time to prepare. It's it's the same like in consulting positions with either McKinsey or BCG, like case interviews where people cramming those cases every single day, several hours. It's 1 week or 1 month. It's not enough. It really takes time, just to set into your system to understand the question, what exactly they want to, what type of answers they want to get. So allow yourself approximately 6 months in preparation. Do not go there unprepared because these companies, it seems like they have a policy that, if you do not show yourself as your best version, there is a potential they won't invite you for an interview, right? They need something to remember you for. So it's either you worked for them as a contractor or whatever, you showed your skills and someone like in management remembers you, they can invite you to apply for a position and, at least you have some internal support within the company. But if you are not known to the company at all, your interview is your only chance to show them, yes, I can do this job and I'm a good fit. So preparation, networking, I would say, like I'm taking all of these kind of well-known things, but they do really work. So network, in my case, I have many classmates working for Amazon from Rotman School of Management. So I spoke to these people. I asked about the experiences. I asked them how to prepare. I had a couple of mock interviews with my former classmates who are currently working for Amazon as well. So they helped me to do this. Try to research all possible information on the internet. Just go there well prepared and also be prepared for any kind of deviations from a standard questions during the interview. Say, for example, as in Amazon or Google, when they ask you, can you please write a piece of code? I'm referring to the technical position. So then you have to be extremely sure that you are ready from a technical side as well. So that I would say is very basic, well-known strategies for preparation.
Extremely helpful, though. So it's very hard to do it, but it is possible with the right preparation and the right networking and the right strategy. We tell folks preparing for consulting case interviews that you need a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks of preparation. But like you're saying, 6 months, very helpful. Well, what are you most looking forward to about working for Amazon?
I understand that it's going to be very possibly difficult time. It's kind of start of a new position with a different company. I worked for IBM for the past 7 years. I'm familiar with the culture. I'm familiar with people. So I'm changing this now, right? So I have to learn how to operate in a new environment with new colleagues. So I'm looking forward to kind of settle in my role, start to be productive, learn new skills that I will have to learn there. And obviously, I'm looking for, maybe to make my path to real practices that I'm interested in. As I said, healthcare, which has a lot of potential, but it's possibly not immediately, sometime late in the future. Enhancing my skills. I know that, for example, data management is a very huge part of my future job responsibilities. So I'm looking forward to some type of online training training I can get from any university, where I can basically learn a little bit more about data science, all of this, this kind of dive deeper into that subject, right? So even though it's not really technically, my direct responsibility, but I'm working with the data sets, so I just want to understand them much better than I currently do. So I would kind of, concentrate on these things in this year, and see how it goes. But hopefully, I would succeed.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing, Elena. Thanks for sharing your story and just kind of what you did to set yourself up for success at Amazon. So kind of to wrap up that portion of the podcast and to move on to the final portion of Strategy Simplified here, I'd love to ask you a few personal questions. So first one is, can you share one bucket list item that you have for 2022? Is there anything you really, that's on your list that you're looking forward to knocking out this year?
It's a good question. So I was always involved in startups and different kind of. I was working on some kind of side business all the time, or some business ideas. Was part of different venture clubs, and it's kind of a constantly ongoing thing for me. I'm currently researching business ideas of a potential company that I can really, found. It didn't happen for me last year because we did not agree on the ideas that we want to implement. But this year, hopefully, we'll get some. I have a group of people I'm currently working with. And I can share with you, we've been working on some AI solution for the human resource industry. I have many other ideas I'm very interested in. So it's something, ultimately, where, it's your own company and something that you can work on that will have some type of a social impact, or it have impact on the life of people, or you will bring some value to someone. So this is what I'm trying to ultimately get to, after Amazon, or start my own business at some point. So this is consistent kind of ongoing theme for me. So hopefully this year I will find a group of people to start a company with. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it sounds like it might be a very busy year for you. Well, we're cheering you on. And then just last question before we end. Favorite current piece of content, whether it be a book, a TV show, or a movie, what are you enjoying right now?
I was always interested in psychology, and actually when I came to Colorado to study, I was enrolled in clinical psychology programs and switched to computer information systems, but I never left the habit of reading any psychology literature. So I'm reading currently Karen Horney books. She's a very famous psychologist, and the book I'm reading, The Neurotic Personality of Our Time, currently. So, I mean, I don't know, it's not a favorite, but it's the one I'm currently reading. But in my spare time, I really love opera, and I love classical music, and I'm an avid fan of Metropolitan Opera and also all the performances at the Carnegie Hall. So they have a wonderful program this year, and people from New York or any other states who are listening, I highly recommend to check out Carnegie Hall program.
Okay, sounds like I'll have to check it out. Well, Elena, thanks again for coming on Strategy Simplified. We're excited to share this and get your story out to the world. Thanks again.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you so much for helping me with all my interview activities. I'm extremely grateful to your company.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Strategy Simplified. If you enjoyed this episode with Elena about how she broke into Amazon, then please, we'd love your review. Go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and just give us a rating. It helps get the word out to more people, and it just lets us know what you're thinking about the show. We'll see you next time.